If you have anxiety, can you really believe in yourself? Can you trust that you'll follow through tomorrow on what you're setting out to do today? Can you trust that you won't be beaten out by all the other people who are applying for the same job you are? And can you trust that the person you are talking to is smiling at you because they're enjoying the conversation and not mocking you? If you have anxiety, you don't even consider that the person who asked you out might actually like something about your personality. You think that they just want to get something from you. They have no further interest. And if you see that they might actually just like you, then you think, what's wrong with them? You don't want to have anything to do with that person because they're a loser. And they're a loser because they like you. If you have anxiety, it's very difficult to believe any of the positives. Not because you're a pessimist, but because it's much more realistic to focus on the negatives. Plus, if it doesn't work out, then you're saving yourself from the huge emotional crash, which would have been inevitable had you started out being hopeful and thinking everything was going to be all right. As you can see, it's very difficult when you have this condition. What makes it even more difficult is that it leaves no marks, scars, or bruises on your body to show to other people that it is serious. But it is serious. According to our research at the University of Cambridge, anxiety disorders are some of the most common mental health problems today, and women and young people under the age of 39 are most affected. Other research has shown that anxiety disorders are more debilitating and can stop you from going about your day-to-day tasks much more than illnesses like cancer or diabetes. Anxiety can increase your risk for depression, suicide, and drastically limits how far ahead you get in life. It makes it hard to sleep. It makes it hard to think. It makes it hard to connect to others, even though you desperately might want to. You just don't know how to go about doing it. But first of all, what is anxiety? There is a difference between normal anxiety, which all of us experience, and an anxiety disorder. Normal anxiety is the stress that we feel before a deadline. It's this rush, this feeling which motivates you and mobilizes you for action. It also serves to protect us. Imagine you're walking home late at night and suddenly you start to hear footsteps behind you getting closer and closer. A rush is coming over you. Your heart starts beating faster. Your breathing is getting faster and you feel anxious. This anxiety that you're feeling is good because it saves you. It protects you. And it makes you want to take cover when there's a dangerous situation. If someone is following you late at night and you're feeling worried, anxiety makes you want to walk faster and find the nearest store so that you can get inside for safety. However, if you take anxiety to the extreme and it starts arising in situations which don't pose a real threat, then that's when you might have an anxiety disorder. There are different types of anxiety disorders. There's social anxiety disorder, in which you feel like others are watching and judging you as you are talking to them. Even if you're talking to just one other person, you feel like you're putting on a show. You're on stage, and it's your cue to start the performance. As you're talking, you feel like you're being stared at. Your gestures and moves are being noticed, and because of this, your shoulders and stomach are getting tense. Your face and armpits are getting sweaty, and your mouth is becoming very dry. The longer the conversation drags on, the more you feel like your weirdness is becoming more evident and you can't escape. You're trapped. Social anxiety disorder stops you from making friends, and it stops you from going out and trying to connect with people, even though you might really want to. And you're always thinking, if only I could be like that person, or if only I could be normal, my life would be perfect. Another example of an anxiety disorder is generalized anxiety disorder, in which you worry constantly about everything that is happening in your life. The worries are uncontrollable, and they can keep you up for hours at night as your mind is replaying worst-case scenarios. When you have anxiety, you're in this stressed state, and you might feel irritable, tense, and have chest pains. It's no surprise that anxiety disorders have been linked to heart disease because they can damage the circulatory system. They can also damage the brain. That's why if someone says anxiety is not a big deal, the scientific evidence shows that actually it is. It can physically harm you, which is why it's important to take control and stop anxiety before it ruins your health and happiness. And since we're talking about happiness, the single most important thing when it comes to being happy is having relationships with other people. Anxiety can ruin this too. It can stop you from connecting with the people you want to at work and in your personal life. Today, I'll be talking about 3 ways to overcome anxiety and build the relationships you want. The first way of overcoming anxiety is stop censoring what you say or do. Often, people with anxiety edit what they're about to say in their minds because they don't want to offend anyone. They try to gauge the ideal time to bring up something, and they worry about the impact that they have on other people. If a situation is ambiguous, let's say they're talking to someone with a neutral facial expression, or they're not sure how a situation is going to play out, they tend to assume the worst will happen. Because of these negative scenarios going through their minds, people with anxiety are afraid to speak and voice their ideas, or even avoid asking for what they need, be it at work or in personal relationships. As a result, they feel exploitable. They think others take advantage of them, and they feel unassertive. So, how can you overcome anxiety and build the relationships you want? The answer is don't censor what you say or do. I know it's hard, but start doing it. start with the people you feel most comfortable with and extend it to the others around you one by one. As soon as you begin to do this, you will feel liberated. Your life force will come back, and you will start to be and see yourself as an independent thinker. Assertiveness or confidence isn't something you're born with. There isn't a confidence gene that some people have and others don't. It's a skill that can be developed with practice. And anything that anyone has become good at, you can become good at it too. And it all starts with not censoring what you say or what you do. The second way of overcoming anxiety is to practice spending time with people who treat you well. People with anxiety can be very self-critical and harsh with themselves, and sometimes wind up with people who treat them the same, people who aren't very kind. Maybe you're in a relationship now and think you deserve better treatment, but for some reason you just can't leave this person because it's scary being alone. But how much bad treatment are you willing to endure until you decide to walk away? Let's say this person, so whoever you're with, let's say this person stayed the same and didn't show you kindness for as long as you were together. And let's say you're together for a short amount of time, or maybe for a really long time. Would you be able to live in the dark for the rest of your life? Is it worth it? If you have anxiety, it's important to practice spending time with people who treat you well. If there's someone out there who's genuinely interested in you, instead of running away from this person and wondering what anyone might see in you, try to examine your gut reactions towards such an individual. If someone is really supportive and pays a lot of attention to you, does this make you feel weird? Or do you feel like you don't deserve this? The question to ask yourself is, what is wrong with good treatment? And finally, the third way to overcome anxiety is to treat yourself like someone you love. This gives you the answer to all those questions. What should I do if my partner is unreliable, lies, or makes me feel undesirable? If you treat yourself like someone you love, the answer will come immediately and you will know what to do. The ancient Buddhist monks used to say, if you think about something long enough, the answer will come to you. It will pop up from inside you. If you do this, you won't need to rely on self-help books for advice or reassurance from other people, because you will know the way. Treating yourself like someone you love is essential because, after all, the most important relationship in life is the one you have with yourself. Thank you.